Welcome to the African Press Review of this day, September 10, 2024. We begin in Cameroon with the Guardian Post newspaper, which headlines school resumption in the country with focus on the Northwest region amid the socio-political tensions. It titles, Nkambe boycott calls, pupils, students make impressive presence on campus on day one, and elite of the area are being hailed for sustained underground moves that have frustrated school boycott calls. Details of how school resumption was observed in Nkambe on page 3 of today's edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Still in Cameroon, the Herald Tribune weekly newspaper has as major headline the Bamenda gas plant project as it hits 90% execution. The paper says CPDM parliamentarians from the Northwest region hail the general manager of the Hydrocarbons Prices Stabilization Fund for speedy implementation of the said project. According to the Herald Tribune, the MPs equally thank Cameroonian President Paul Biya for his vision to bring the gas plant project to the Northwest region. This and more on pages 6 to 7 of this week's Herald Tribune newspaper. Away from Cameroon, now let's head to the Gambia with the Standard newspaper, which spotlights the 2026 elections in the country. The paper says the National Alliance for Change coalition has unveiled their vision for 2026. The newspaper equally proposes an interview with Mamadou Tangara, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Gambia, who says strategic partnership with China can hasten Gambia's development process. More of this on today's edition of the Standard newspaper. Over in Ghana, the Daily Dispatch on page 12 features a revelation from the country's cocoa board boss. According to the newspaper, Ghana Cocoa Board CEO Joseph Boahen Aidu has disclosed that Russian government is responsible for cocoa smuggling in Africa, as the Ghanaian government is intensifying efforts to combat cocoa smuggling across the country's borders. Meanwhile, in Kenya, the Daily Nation newspaper has as major story the aftermath of the tragic hillside and the Russia fire incident. The paper captions, 5 days of anguish, 140 parents have confirmed they have their children at home. Parents who have been waiting for 5 days to know the fate of their children are in agony as the painstaking DNA analysis on casualties of the incident begin. The paper goes further to say the parents turned up at the Narumuru Hospital mortuary as they sought to know whether their children are among the dead or not. Read more on pages 45 of the Daily Nation newspaper. The Daily Nation also features the case of Mohamed Dida, currently serving 7 years in a US jail. The former teacher, who twice ran for president and finished ahead of some established politicians, is serving a 7-year jail term since November 2022 after he was found guilty of stalking and intimidating an unidentified individual. Find out more on page 3 of Daily Nation newspaper. Now let's head to Nigeria, where the major headline on most newspapers is Joe Ajairo's arrest saga. The Punch newspaper titles, DSS succumbs to pressure as NLC plans showdown. The paper goes ahead to reveal that the Nigerian journalist and Labour leader has been released ahead of NLC's 12 midnight ultimatum. PDP, LP, others lampoon federal government over arrest and invasion. Full story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. In the same light, the Guardian newspaper foresees looming strike as it says labor security agencies in deadlock over Ajairo's arrest and harassment. More on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. We have come to the end of today's press review, ladies and gentlemen. Keep watching Global LTV.